This week on the Brit in Poland, I take you to the seaside city of Łeba. Łeba is one of these places I've been meaning to get to for quite a number of years now, and it is quite an extraordinary place. The main town is very similar to places like, I guess, Kowalczyk. It's a big tourist trap, lots of exhibits. I'll show you what options you have, lots of places to buy souvenirs. But I would say what people come here for is the sea. You have some beautiful beaches here in Łeba and some lovely places to just chill. But more importantly, you have these sand dunes, which are a bit of a hike from the center, but not too bad. And they are, I would say, one of the wonders of Poland. So please stay tuned and enjoy. Dzień dobry, and welcome to A Brit in Poland. This channel is going to bring you everything you need to know about Poland. I am exploring the country, bringing you the history, trying to tell you about the culture, and show you what it is really like to live here. So feel free to check out my other media, Instagram, Facebook, and I will share links to those in the comments. I also have a website, www.britlivinginpoland.com, where I collate my videos for easy to view manner. Also, you are welcome to contribute to my efforts through Patronite or Patreon, and all descriptions are available below the video. I hope you enjoyed today's video, and please come back for more by subscribing, liking, or commenting. Thank you very much. Do zobaczenia.
Łeba is located on the northern coast of Poland, just west of Gdansk. So in this video I show you what I saw while I was there. I can't promise I saw absolutely everything, but I did my best to see as much as I could in the 4 days we were there. We took the train, and it's worth noting that the train to Łeba only runs in the summer in Poland, so pretty much June through to September. So if you're visiting, plan accordingly. We decided to camp here to save a bit of money and have a bit more adventure, and we found very overcrowded campsites. We also found that we arrived at the same time as this bike festival, which had motorbikes and classic cars from all over the world, from what we could see. They seem to be from America, from Scandinavia. All kinds of people were taking part and having a lot of fun. It's obviously a big tourist draw, like Łeba needed any more tourists. And there were some big parades which did bring one of the streets on the outside of town to a bit of a standstill. And you had this chap who thought that burning rubber and polluting the atmosphere was fun. It was fun to watch, it wasn't fun to stand there and choke on the smoke. We are continuing to walk to the Slowinski National Park, and this, you could say, is the biggest attraction. For a while you will walk through the forests, and it's a very scenic, very calm, very quiet place. You know, they ban people playing music and speaking loudly and all of those things that could disrupt, and you see these very, very unique formations on the landscape, including this rather unusual cemetery, which seemed to have some kind of glyph stone. So I don't know if there's some kind of Viking connection. I couldn't find anything in my research. Because it's a very Catholic town, as you would expect. Getting to the national park, good luck getting a ticket, because buying them online, the Wi-Fi is terrible there, the signal is terrible. You can buy them from an office, or you can pray that your phone works eventually with the website. Even though the tickets were very cheap, getting them was the hassle. The first thing you really come to is this observation tower. So you get a nice view of the lake and the surrounding forests. It was completely free to go up this tower, which is a nice bonus, because actually most of the viewing towers I've encountered are free in Poland, so I don't know what I'm talking about there. It's a bit of a map of the area. There was meant to be like a museum, but it didn't seem to be open. So this area was actually quite occupied during the war. I will talk bit more about the history later on in the video. But you do pass a few things on your way through the national park, and it is a bit of a trek. I think it was something like 7 or 8 kilometers. But on the way, you did encounter the first set of dunes. These ones I don't think move. The later ones are more relevant, but it was still pretty impressive. You can see we have a few bunkers and things on the way as well. And one of the first bigger sites is the Rocket Museum. And this is kind of talking about the fact that the site of Łeba was like a German missile range. So they were developing a lot of weapons here, you know, surface to surface, surface to air missiles. And you mainly see, I think, surface to surface missiles in this museum, as well as like a bunker and some old weapons. So this is really the kind of the World War II spirit of Łeba shown in this museum. A little bit further on, after a bit more walking, you get to the, I hope I pronounced this right, Łącka Dunes. If you say that the wrong way, it could sound a bit offensive in English. And these are between Lake Łebsko and the Baltic coast. And the thing that makes these dunes rather characteristic, as well as offering this incredibly unique landscape in Poland, is the fact that they are constantly shifting. I believe they shift something like 16 meters or so a year. So every time you go back to Łeba, these dunes will be in a slightly different place. And they shift because of westerly winds, which kind of push them a bit eastwards. And actually about 300 years ago, they completely submerged a village with the name of Łącka, hence the name of the dunes. So the dunes themselves are, you know, pretty protected, and there's a fence to discourage people. Didn't stop a few people from crossing the line to get photos, but they didn't travel too far. And I've never seen anything like this in Poland before, and you could say it's one of the Polish deserts, effectively, which makes it pretty cool. And it's really nice to see these kinds of landscapes. I always appreciate how diverse the nature is in Poland. So rather than going back through the national park and the forests, we decided we were going to trek along the seaside because, well, it's lovely to enjoy the sea when you're in Łeba. You could say it's one of the main reasons that people go here. Though do be wary walking along this route, and I certainly haven't shown it on this video, but there is a nudist beach which pops up. Let's just say we got to a certain point and it's like, is that what I think it is? Yes, and then you see all these things that you may or may not want to see. We spent a fair bit of time on the beaches, especially in the evenings. We did a bit of construction which didn't last, played in the sea. It was a very calm, relaxing place, you know, everyone was having fun. So now I'm going to tell you a bit more about what you can see in the centre. So there was this crocodile house, which I don't know the origins. If somebody can tell me, I would be intrigued to know. You had a few of these tourist buses buzzing around. We didn't opt to use any of them. And you do notice there are a few ports in Łeba. Being a coastal city, of course it has a strong maritime connection. You had some rather cool looking buildings. Not so many murals, but you did have this one of the sea, which was rather nice. And of course, hundreds of restaurants. It is very much geared for tourists, this city. And here's another one of the kind of ports with restaurants and more restaurants. So certainly you had no shortage of places to go and eat. Plenty of pizzerias, ice cream places and the like. So this is the main square, which is a very charming square. You know, anything that has a fountain and some nice greenery and some interestingly laid out walkways, I think counts as a nice square. You know, it's not your traditional Polish square surrounded by townhouses or tenement houses, however you want to call them, but it was rather cool. and it had this monument to the fishermen of Łeba, at least I presume. In all the guides I read, nothing really talked about this monument, but it looks pretty cool. Reminds me of a certain opera I went to see fairly recently. And you get a nice panorama of this square from the Erotic Museum balcony. So I don't know if this one will be censored or people will complain that I've included it, but it is definitely something of note. A lot of interesting exhibits here from all over the world, particularly from China, I think, and the Far East. And yeah, I think you can get an idea from the images, the sort of things you see. There was also like a magical mirror place that we didn't go into, you know, because some things, you know, they're going to be expensive, you know, they're going to be a bit of a tourist trap, and you've seen them before. You see plenty of these kind of mini amusement parks, so the place is very much geared up for children, and there were a lot of families that we saw moving around. We didn't quite go on any of the amusement rides. We didn't have time for that, sadly. And, as I say, interesting architecture. One of the first places we went to was the Amber Museum. And this is actually one of my favourite amber museums in Poland now. It has this really cool first couple of rooms with these like prehistoric settings. Basically showing you when the amber is from, maybe. And it talks about these amber deposits from like Colombia and Indonesia. So it's not just the Baltic Sea, which is very famous for amber. And then naturally you had a whole load of little monuments and pictures made from amber, this beautiful chess set. I love seeing things like this, and I know my mum watching this video will be very jealous that I got to see this. She'll be like, when can we go? I love this little tortoise lamp. And there was a little side exhibit which cost a tiny bit extra about, I think, Ukrainian dragons. I don't know anything about Ukrainian dragons, but they look pretty fantastic, and you were fully free to take selfies and touch the exhibits. There is also a butterfly museum. I didn't go in, but one of my friends did, and he said it was pretty cool. Obviously, the butterflies are dead and mounted, but colourful and varied. You see quite a few other things. Here is the wax museum, and the wax museum is like a wax museum. You see them a lot on the Polish seaside. But this one was kind of fun. You know, I love seeing these kind of cartoon exhibits. Here's Katy Perry. I'm pretty sure. I'm a bit of a geek, so I love seeing, you know, Hugh Jackman there as Wolverine, and I love the old action films of the 80s, so Arnie, Sylvester Stallone, people like that, and Harry Potter for the younger generation. I'm not quite sure why they put Trump and Putin next together. I don't know if that was a political statement. Opposite the Wax Museum, you have an upside-down house. And again, this is something that I saw in a couple of places in Poland. It's a bit of fun. It's more for the kids, but at the same time, even as an adult, you can appreciate the architecture and the effort that goes into constructing it. It takes a fair bit of imagination. And yeah, I saw something like this in Kowalczyk. I think there's one in Zakopane, and I'm sure there are a few other upside-down houses if you look hard enough in Poland. I'm sure within a year I will see another one pop up somewhere. They haven't quite reached Warsaw, maybe for the best. There's a mini golf course. You can see there is a wide array of activities to keep anyone busy in Łeba. You have kayaking as well along some of the rivers here. A lot of water sports. This church from 1998 is of St. James the Apostle, pretty spectacular. You have a few parks, but I'd say the parks are more for the locals. A lot of beautiful villas, which are, quite historical. Yeah, when am I going to talk about the history? We'll get to it. Colourful umbrellas, which again is something quite Polish. You see it in a few places like Białystok. There was this oceanarium, which is meant to be, I think, the biggest in Poland. and meant to be pretty impressive. Though when I saw the 80 zloty entry fee, I kind of said to myself, maybe not. I've seen fish in other places. There's the Museum of Illusion, and I kept telling myself I wasn't going to go in this place, and eventually I just said, for the video. And it was pretty cool. You have a couple of rooms here, a lot of interactive exhibits. It's going to be something a lot of fun for children. Nice little gift shop with all these like cool gadgets and stuff you can buy. I'm a bit of a sucker for things like this, especially these electrical displays, and such an amount of money. I'm sure that's completely real. So also on Kosciuszki Street is the Avenue of Presidents. So you have a number of presidents displayed. Of course, presidents since 1989. And it's just a beautiful thing. I found this little backyard down an alley, and I just loved it. I just thought, so quirky, so different. And you just see these, beautiful villas. I think this looks like some kind of spa, but it's probably a restaurant or a cafe. One of my favorite things, and I do mean this seriously, was the Labyrinth Park. It was just something, I love mazes, I love labyrinths, I love to get lost and to explore. And I went with a couple of friends to check this place out. And it has all of these oversized novelty games. I tell you, we could have spent hours there, and probably would have if I hadn't said, listen guys, I need to see some other things in Łeba. It has these like small labyrinths, and then it has this thing. And it's the largest natural labyrinth in Poland at about 5,000 square meters, which is pretty impressive. It said that the fastest people can get through it in about 20 minutes. One of my friends managed to get lost, and we were directing him from one of these viewing platforms, which was quite fun for a while. It's like, raise your hand, where are you? And you have these little monsters down some of the wrong turnings. And in the center, you have a Minosaur, which I think is a lovely tribute to the Labyrinth of Minos. Wonderful thing. And then you get outside, and there are even more of these novelty attractions to do. This archery, you have giant chess, you had like this kind of football/pool table. Awesome stuff. We're just walking through one of the parks here. Very charming, very nautical themed, of course. And we get to the Church of the Assumption of the Blessed Virgin Mary, which was built in 1683 using materials from the Church of the St. Nicholas, which was destroyed in 1558. Beautiful churches here. They don't overdo the churches in Łeba like a lot of places in Poland. So we go a little bit outside the city, and we saw this cool little treehouse thing, and we saw these bunkers. I'm assuming these are World War II, or they could even be communist. I have to admit, I didn't find the history on these, and now they're heavily covered in graffiti. But they were just something a little bit quirky that we did a little bit of a hike to, just outside of the main centre. And then we went into this forest in the search of this beautiful lake that we saw, and this is the only view we could find of it. So we decided, you know what, we're going to head to the beach. So we headed back, and here we found these ruins of a concentration camp. I didn't really find record of a concentration camp in Łeba, so this was a bit of a surprise to see. But you can clearly see the old posts that were definitely used for this. And yeah, then we get back to the seaside. So while we're on the seaside, because everyone's seen the sea already, it's a very wide beach, is very lovely. But Łeba actually, it's first mentioned in 1282 in documents of Mestwin II, Duke of Pomerania, and has a population of about 3,000 people. It actually dates back to the Neolithic period and was founded by Kashubians perhaps around the 8th century. In 1309, it was annexed by the Teutonic Knights. It joined the Prussian Confederation in 1440, returned to Poland in 1454. In 1558, actually, Łeba was destroyed and relocated to a safer area after a giant storm, and there were massive risks of flooding, and the sand dune movement didn't help. Oh, this is the ruins of the St. Nicholas Church, which was a Gothic church built in the 14th century. And this was destroyed by forces of nature, mysteriously, apparently. So returning to the history, in the 16th century, Lutheranism was brought, which brought massive changes to religious and social life. In 1682, dramatic fires in the city destroyed much and burned down the church. And in 1772, it was ultimately incorporated into Prussia during the first partition of Poland. And it was occupied by Germany during World War II. So it's a place of novelty. It's a place of relaxation. It is designated, I think, as a spa town. And it's said to have healing properties for people. There are a lot of places in Poland with healing properties. One of the places we went to eat was this place called Manufaktura, which is kind of like a bakery, breakfast place. And we had some very nice food there. The wait was a little bit long. It's a very popular place, but it was a nice little find. We also got to see the Northern Lights when we were in Łeba. I say see, we could take a photo of them. But ultimately, Łeba was an absolutely charming place, beautiful place, and very relaxing, very fun to be in the summer. So I do recommend it if you can get to it in Poland. So thank you very much for watching. Please like, please subscribe. Do zobaczenia.